New York Fashion Week was an embarrassment, enthusiasts said.
Okay, let's go into it. If you're new here, my name is Jess. I'm a costume designer and fashion historian, and I worked in the New York fashion scene for 8 years. Let me give you my hot take. Okay, let's time travel back a few centuries before fashion was even a concept. But Jess, we call them fashionable ladies. Yeah, those were the rich girls. They got to go to dressmaker shops. Everybody else made their clothes at home. Somebody in the family was a good seamstress. That's who took care of this shit. Yes, Marie Antoinette had her favorite dressmaker. Her name was Rose Burton. There's a great book called Queen of Fashion. Go read it if you want to know about this stuff. But let's jump to a more civilized time, all right? We got the late 18th century, early 19th century. This is some Jane Austen situation happening right now. During the time of Marie Antoinette, up until Jane Austen, women figured out what to wear through dressmakers, dolls, like little dolls that had little outfits on them that they could go, I like that sleeve, I want that sleeve, or they had fashion plates. Because Marie Antoinette was such a big player in the world of fashionable ladies court dressing, France became the hub for anything that is fashionable, right? So at the time, dressmakers would display their creations on live mannequins, dolls in their own salons, allowing potential clients to view and choose their designs. And these intimate presentations were primarily attended by aristocrats and wealthy clients. This sort of style of how things were made lasted from like the Middle Ages through to like the early 1900s. That's a long time, okay? But bear with me. So by the mid 19th century, so like 1850s, we have the granddaddy of fashion starting to come onto the scene. His name is Charles Frederick Worth, and he is the father of haute couture. Charles Frederick Worth was a British fashion designer based in Paris, and he revolutionized the fashion industry. Haute couture is the concept of high fashion. So at this time, you're starting to have industrialization and mass market coming to life. So to keep the practices of making clothing for individual clients at a high level basis, haute couture was born. There's definitely more that I can speak to about Charles Frederick Worth, but this is the SparkNote edition. The reason that Charles Worth is considered the granddaddy of fashion is because he organized the first live fashion show in 1858, okay? And this is where models paraded around in designs in a showroom where wealthy women could go and sit and have a cup of tea and look at the designs in person and see how they moved on a model. This marked the beginning of fashion shows, and it also, please take note, marks the beginning of exclusivity. The wealthy, the clients, were the ones that were invited to the shows. I want us to take note of this history because it adds to the conversation of influencers being invited to shows and inclusivity versus exclusivity. Cut to the Industrial Revolution happens, and we have the rise of the middle class. And with that, we have a growing demand for different types of clothing. Not only different types of clothing, but affordable clothing. And thus, the ready-to-wear industry was born. In the early 20th century, fashion shows became more common as department stores started opening up. Fashion shows became places where designers and retailers could come together to talk about the collections and place orders for the department stores. It also became a place for wealthy socialite women to go to private events and designers' shows to see the new fashions for each season. Department stores themselves also hosted fashion shows to show off the new inventory, and they would do this on an invite basis to the socialite women of the ton. We have to keep in mind too that department stores were not initially welcomed in the world of fashion. People saw ready-to-made clothing as cheap, but as more people got more money and the clothes became more affordable and the quality was still very high, the department stores gained popularity. I personally love this advertisement from Bloomingdale's. But it is here that we see the beginning of buyers and fashion designers hosting these fashion shows, which are essentially business meetings to better market and sell the products. And of course, you're going to invite your socialite ladies. They're the ones that make the brand desirable. One can draw a comparison between inviting the socialite women and inviting the influencers. They both are there to help promote the brand simply by existing in it. By the mid 20th century, we are starting to see the birth of Fashion Week. This lovely photo is from a 1950s Dior show. The first recognized Fashion Week took place in New York City in 1943. The press called it Press Week as a response to World War II when Paris was unable to host its fashion events. This event aimed to showcase American fashion designers and establish New York as a fashion capital. And from the late 20th century on, we've had this massive jump in global expansion, both on the fast fashion stage, the ready-to-wear, and fashion shows. There are fashion shows all over the globe now. Fashion Week feels more like Fashion Month. It is very intense. Each city has developed its own sort of fashion week, and these events attract international attention. They shape trends and they influence the fashion industry, and it becomes a crucial platform for designers, models, buyers, and fashion enthusiasts to have conversations, make money, and make content over. Nowadays, to simultaneously feel more inclusive, but also to expand one's global reach, many fashion shows are available on live streams. Not only that, brands no longer rely on news networks to do the influencing for them. Brands will also live stream themselves, and they will hire in influencers to also come to the shows where they will live stream and share content surrounding it. This is all creating hype. Influencers and bloggers do play a vital role by sharing their experiences and their reviews of how the show went. Beyond the realms of traditional media and advertising, these influencers do help expand the reach of these brands by making it feel more organic and person to person. I don't particularly think that the issue is with the influencers at large, because many influencers are massive fans of the fashion industry and have a very deep, profound respect for the tradition of the fashion show. The problem lies in the fact that people are invited without being properly educated on behavior standards for fashion shows. While they feel like a party, and most of the times they kind of are, they are still professional events where networking happens and business deals are made. There's also a realm of responsibilities these brands need to take in saying, we hired this person to come to our show and it got ruined, or we let the security be a little bit more relaxed to make sure that things were more inclusive, and therefore we weren't sure who was actually showing up or how many people were showing up. That's a safety issue. But all in all, you know who these influencers are, you can see their content, the kind of content they make, and then you as a brand can make a decision as to whether or not you want them at your show. The problem is when the show itself is made fun of or made a mockery of. Like I said, again, these things are business deals. Now, if you have influencers crashing them and then posting videos about how they crashed it, and making a mockery of the show, they're also making a mockery of your work and millions of dollars of effort and time put into a product that is now overshadowed by a gimmick. It is my opinion that Fashion Week is dead because it is no longer about taking the tradition of dressmaking and tailoring and pushing it to the edge. Some designers do this, but not many. Nowadays, a lot of fashion is recycled, or some shows themselves are no longer even about the clothes, but about flash gimmicks. In my opinion, a good fashion show should be conceptual and theatrical. It should evoke emotions and it should inspire. I like clothes that are beautifully well made. And ones that are innovative in design and construction. Anyways, what do I know?